I'm sitting here because I can talk. This is really the only place I can talk. I can't sit back on the couch and talk, but I can talk here because it's far enough away from her room, plus I have the dryer running for good measure. Not as comfortable, but that's all right. 31, 32 years old. Falsely believed I had the world at my feet. Now, I was damaged back then. It's Donald who honed in on me, recognized. But I wasn't broken. I wasn't shattered, okay? Remember, that was not only pre 11 years of Donald and his mother, mostly Dawn, but pre everything that came after I escaped Donald and his mom. Everything that came here and with my mother and our sister and my family, and then everything over the past 10 years. So now I'm broken. Justifiably, 100%. Trust nothing and nobody. Except for pretty much Joe. Who writes to me about country stuff. You know, because he's living in the country area. Not the boomies, you know. He goes to work, he can reach civilization easily, but he's living in a country area. You know, far more country than when I stayed with him, where he lived for a long time. A few days ago he wrote to me, why did the chickens cross name of road that he lives near or on or whatever, I don't know, to get to the corn on the other side that was freshly plowed, left over, something, I don't know, I don't understand country talk, okay? And then he was talking about a possum, and he said the possum was not afraid of him, and it sat there and it was doing its possum things with food and whatnot, and he says, I think it's rabbit or something, it's not afraid of me, or it just doesn't care because it knows snow is coming or something or other, I don't know. And then he's like, I hate possums, they're ugly. So I wrote back, I said, oh no, I'm sorry, he said, I hate possums. And I wrote back, I said, why do you hate possums? And he wrote back, because they're ugly. And I wrote back, yeah, well, so what? They deserve love too, even if they're ugly. Then he said a story about that, I guess when he was younger, when he was a boy, he was a kid, they caught a possum in a trap, and I guess it was rabid and had to be killed. It was caught in a foot trap, but it had babies. And apparently the babies are adorable. Because he's saying that his dad loved the babies. He's like, so apparently baby possums are the cutest things ever, but possums are ugly. So what? Anyhow. I'm just making a point that Joe writes to me about all country stuff. He has a mini tractor, and he owns tons of land now. He owns tons of land. He did not own tons of land where I was. It was no land, hardly at all. Okay, he owns tons of land. When you own tons of land and it's yours, what do you have to do? You have to mow it. You have to plow it. You have to snow shovel. You know what I mean? You have to do all that. He also says he can see chickens when he looks out his window when he's working from home. So that's better when you were working from home before in your basement, huh? And he says they comfort him. He says he likes watching them. They comfort him while he's working from home. He's allowed to work from home sometimes, and sometimes he has to go into the office. I've kept Pandora's box tightly closed for about 2 months now. I'm not going to elaborate, but I've done it. It's what needs to be done. I've kept Pandora's box closed. Tightly closed. I don't even recognize her. I remember, but I don't recognize her. I don't. Like I said, she was damaged, most definitely, but not completely broken. Not completely broken, if close to shattered. Anyhow, doing this for you guys is at least something. Keep me connected from a distance in a very small way. So I don't just disappear completely. I'm listening to you. I figured out, like I said, how to make my bedroom brighter, and I'm sure you must like the higher quality videos in there that are much lighter. Much lighter than one I did yesterday. Blow drying my hair and singing Bob Seger, Ugly Kid Joe, and Don Gato, a song I still remember from my childhood. Still remember that by heart. Elton John's Bitch is Back. Basically just goofing off and drying my hair, Goofing off, showing my legs, showing my feet that you guys like, drying my hair, having fun, and, we'll see how many views it gets. So, now into serious stuff. Mind-blowing stuff. Stuff that has me shaking, okay? It's just indicative of the times we live in, but it's fucking scary as hell. The people who do this fraud stuff now, where they get into databases and they get into your own personal bank accounts and people's bank accounts, and I was on with my bank, first the regular person who told me something that left me, my heart pounding, left me shaking, and then what I learned from the fraud department, a nice guy, and I thanked him profusely, and I said, you know what, you're just amazing. You're like, I didn't say this exactly, I'm like, you're one of a kind. You're like, I cannot believe you talked to me for this long. You educated me, okay? This will never happen to me again. But the fact that I have hardly any money in my account, okay? I'm on disability. I haven't gotten my monthly check. I have hardly any money, okay? But he told me, yeah, he told me, he's like, Laura, he's like, I'm lucky I got you. Someone else wouldn't have talked to me. I was on for 254 minutes. No, not 254 minutes? I can tell you. Mostly with him. I was with the original person and she transferred me over. Let's see. $154 minutes. Could have been 254. That would have been ridiculous. Anyway, 154 is good enough. 106, 120, 2.5 hours over, okay? Have I ever in my life talked to any person that wasn't a friend, any professional? This is what time it is right now, but I slept, I fell asleep in my bed. I was emotionally, like I was drained. I just passed out on my bed and then woke up. So I was slept for hours, a couple hours anyway. I talked to this, I've never in my life. Okay, I'm 54 years old. Again, back in my prime, I was 32. Falsely believing I had the world at my feet. 100% falsely believing that. Intoxicating. Even though it was all a lie, you know, it was intoxicating to believe it. Anyhow. I can't believe how long this person talked to me from the fraud department of my bank. Hours. Hours. I didn't realize it was that long. But he educated me. And I told him, like, I'm so lucky I got you because someone else might not have told me all the things you told me. He's like, yeah, you got lucky. You got someone who's worked for 5 years instead of someone who started last week or something, you know. He didn't say it started, he just said, you're lucky you got someone. I've been with them for 5 years. So I've been around the block. The fraud people, whatever you want to call them, evil, they have gotten so fucking sophisticated. And this guy, I'll call him, I'm going to call him, I'm going to give you his real name. I'll call him Adam. Okay, Adam. Adam. Told me, I'm going to start crying, it's so sad because it could never be me because I don't have any money in my bank account, but it certainly could be like what's a lot of money to me. Even a couple $100s is a lot to me if you don't have any money. I said to him when he told me, oh yeah, I just got someone the other day, they're out $5,000. Their bank account was cleaned out. I'm like, you know what? It could have happened to me. It could still happen to me, actually, but it won't be 5,000. It'll be 250. Okay? Can you imagine? That's why I told him, I'm going to tell everybody. I didn't say I have a YouTube channel and I'm going to spread the word out, but they have gotten so sophisticated, these evil people. They tricked me, and I'm not a stupid person. They tricked me, and I'm not a stupid person, and they're tricking a lot of people. He's like, I'm one person here at the fraud department, Laura. I'm getting these calls all the time, and we're trying to protect our customers. And I said, it can't be just your bank. It has to be every bank. I'm in shock. I am in fucking shock. And I'm wondering if I should go to the police. I think I told you Joe was a victim of identity theft. Way worse. And he was, remember, he didn't have his job anymore. He didn't want to do what he needed to do to keep it, shall we say. Be diplomatic here. So he lost his 6-figure job without hesitation. And he applied for unemployment. Something happened where someone got a hold of something maybe when he was applying for a job and he had to show, he didn't understand why they were making him show, he didn't, did a telecall, like, the Zoom call thing, and they wanted him to show his life, whatever happened, he was a victim of identity fraud, and they reverted thousands and thousands of dollars of his unemployment for months. He'll never get that. He'll never see that again, okay? So when you're dealing with me, you're only dealing with very small amounts, but it certainly at points is higher than the 250 that I have in there right now, unless they get it. And if they do get it, there's nothing that I can do. Ultimately, they gained access to my online bank account. Okay? So I was out walking, having my good time, singing out loud. I managed to leave at 3:40, so I got some sunlight. I got about an hour of sunlight. I could wear my sunglasses, and then, then when it got start again dark, I took them off. I'm in shock. I am in such shock. I am lucky. I'm one of the lucky ones. I'm lucky that this didn't happen to me when I'd gotten my monthly money, and then it would have a lot more in my bank account, okay? Okay, so here's what happened. Okay, my bank, I have fraud alerts, okay? So whenever they see suspicious activity, what they deem possibly suspicious, they send me texts, but they also send me emails, okay? A lot of times, I don't know if I've told you guys, but I am not a phone person where I have to have my phone on every second, and I have to, no. I'm not a phone person. I can shut off my phone for days, okay? I don't check my texts. I don't, whatever, okay? But I'm always on my email. I'm always on my email. Every day I'm on my email, so I usually get to my email. I get notification. Do you recognize these charges? Over the past, okay, so I've been with them for 10 years, okay? I've been with them for 10 fucking years. Been with them, this bank, for the entire time that I've been back in Massachusetts after escaping, abusive asshole Donald, okay? And his enabling mother. The fraud thing says, do you recognize these charges? Usually I recognize most of them. And then the ones I don't recognize, if you recognize not even, I said, if you don't recognize one or more of these charges, click no, okay? You click, and I click no. When I click no, I believe I've gotten calls from the fraud department. In fact, I know that I have. I've gotten calls from the fraud department when I've clicked no. Okay. They also send texts. You guys have all seen these texts. They don't just have to be for banks. They can be for different things where it says, they can be for appointments. Do you confirm this appointment? Yes or no? Do you recognize these charges? Yes or no? And you get a text and you click yes or no. Right? We've all gotten them. I was at my bank 2 days ago. Okay, 2 days ago. And I happened to just be at my bank when... Oh, I'm sorry. Okay, so I was at my bank 2 days ago. Okay. I actually was, my mom and I have the same bank account, so I was putting money into her account. I'd forgotten actually that what the guy had told me last time, because he didn't tell me for years, and I know him, and I'm thinking, why did you tell me? He just didn't think, because everything's changed, and this hasn't always been the case. I've been with them for 10 years. Everything's changed, but now you can, it hasn't always been that way. You can transfer money from one bank account to the other if it's the same bank account, okay? You can easily, as long as both people have online banks and they're both my bank. So with my mom and I have the same bank. So sometimes if we need money back and forth for whatever reason, she can write me a check and I can deposit it into my bank account. And sometimes I don't make it there in time. Sometimes I'm running in at the last minute. Sometimes I don't make it at all. And then last time they said, you know, you can, I'm like, why? I joked with them. I'm like, why didn't you tell me this before? He just forgot. Well, I forgot that he had told me this, and I went to get the other day, but I wasn't running. I was at my leisure, and I wanted to go for a walk anyway, so it was okay. It was all good, okay? Okay. So I was at my bank the other day, and those little things popped up on text. So since I was there, I decided to show the guy that I know at the bank, the teller I know, and I said, you know, I got one of these the other day, a few days ago, but I didn't get an email. And you always send me, the fire department always sends me emails, so I just ignored it. I figured it was nothing, and I looked at my online bank account. There was no fraudulent charges there, so we're all good. I ignored it. And he says to me, he looked at them, and he goes, yeah, just hit no. I'm like, just hit no? He's like, yeah, just hit no. That'll take care of that. He didn't notice that they were not legitimate. He said, yeah, hit no. The minute I hit no, I get a call. Immediately got a call. Yeah, this is the so-and-so bank's fraud department. You don't recognize these charges. La 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 la. Okay. Actually, I'm not even understanding this. I'm getting confused because I showed him, I said, do you recognize this phone number? And he said, no, but it could be a different number. And then I'm looking at the original number, though, and I just realized this, you know, just tonight, okay? I'm looking at the original number. It's looking like, and this is impossible, so maybe I'll go to the police, because it's looking like the call did come from my bank. But to make a long story short, I'm just going to have a part 2, okay? But to make a long story short, this is what happened last night when I was at my bank. 2 nights ago, I'm sorry. 2 nights ago when I was at my bank, okay? Just happened to be at my bank, and these new charges came in, okay? And the text looks like any text I've ever gotten from my bank. Looks no different, okay? I just found out last night it's all fraud. I was talking to fake people and gave them my information, and and I got home. I didn't look right away because I had to take care of Omar. It takes him a long time for him to eat and drink his water and all that, and go to the bathroom, and then I take care of my mom and feed her. And long story short, I was home about an hour and a half before I went on my email, and it said, your password has been successfully changed from my bank account online. I didn't change my password. I didn't change my password. So I immediately called my bank, and I was in shock. I couldn't have been more shocked. I said, yeah, I got notices from the fraud department and all that. They called me the night before, and then tonight, and she's like, she looked. She's like, there's been no notices. Nobody from the fraud department has called you. I'm like, are you sure? She's like, yeah, I would show it. Nobody's called you. I'm like, oh my God, they changed my password. They got into my online bank account. Oh my God, oh my God, oh my God. So she closed everything down. She reset everything for me, okay? And then she says, I need to talk to the fraud department. I need to make sure. I took her name. I said, are you sure? I talked to people for quite some time, for quite a few minutes last night and tonight. They called again. She's like, it wasn't the fraud department. They're fakes. They're cons. You've been conned. And oh my God, I'm used to like my bank account being like they get a hold. I'm like, how if I order from like Amazon or Walmart or something, how can they get my username and password? 2 nights ago, I called Joe. Okay, I called Joe after this was happening to me, and I said, Joe, I gotta get back to that. So I gotta get back to that because this is unbelievable. These crooks have gotten so sophisticated. I cannot even believe it. We didn't have to go through this before, and now it's happening more and more and more. They're getting smarter and smarter and smarter. And somebody from the fraud department, this guy was awesome. He talked to me for hours last night. Hours. What an incredible human being. He talked to me for hours. He answered all my questions. He was so nice. He told his own stories. He told what's happening. He said it's really bad. He's like, I'm getting these calls. Their bank accounts are cleared out. I just had one. They lost $5,000. Oh my God. I can't even believe it. So, you following me so far? Let's see if you are. This is unfucking believable. Remember, we're dealing with 2 nights. I talked to people I thought were from the fraud department, and they weren't. They weren't. They weren't. And I didn't find out until the second night when I came home, and when I went onto my email, I had an email, your password has been successfully changed. That means they got into my online bank account. You know what happens when you go into someone's online bank account? There's going to be a part 2. But come on, use your noggin. What can they do? I wouldn't know this, but I found out from my buddy who talked to me for hours. He was so nice. I can't even believe he talked to me for that long. He obviously had no calls coming in. Or he just didn't care. He must have had calls coming in because I had to wait 30 minutes to get through. No, he didn't care. He liked me. He didn't care. He wanted to answer all my questions. He knew I was scared. He knew I was near tears. If you get into somebody's online bank account, you can get their account number and their router number. The routing number and the account number, and then you can do whatever you want. You can clean out their bank account. Think about it. If you can transfer from one account to another, if you can get into somebody's online bank account, you have their routing number, their account number. You can go with that to in person and say, clean out someone's bank account. In my case, they won't get that much money, but in other cases, they've cleaned out people's bank accounts for thousands upon thousands of dollars. This is like the latest thing, and it's so sophisticated.